And the wolf finally decided to, finally leave. And I was able to make it back to my room. But that was very scary, but also it was a very spiritual thing that happened, because I was making the decision, not to sleep with that girl. And also something else that really happened to me up there in the midst of me having all that sleep paralysis and all those different things happening to me and all these spiritual things happening, and I'm not understanding what's happening and what's going on. And I honestly was scared out of my mind. Literally, I didn't know how to stop the paralysis. I didn't know how to stop all these spiritual things that were happening to me. So I just didn't know what to do. So one night when I go to sleep, an angel appears in my room, and the angel actually took me to a heavenly place. I'm not going to say it was heaven because I don't know for sure, but it was definitely a heavenly place. And when we went to this place, we were moving fast. We were moving fast. I mean, like, I can't even explain how fast we were moving. But once we got to this place, there were a ton of people, a ton. It was like, the best way I've been able to describe it is like, we went to this stadium. This stadium felt like it could fit 1,000,000 Earths inside of the stadium, right? That's the best way I can explain it. And a lot of the stuff that I experienced up there, a lot of the stuff that I went through up there, I can't use any words in English or any other language to be able to describe the feeling that I had up there. I knew that there were a lot of people in this. It was like an arena almost, with a big, huge stage. And on the stage, God was sitting there, and then you could see Jesus on the right hand of the Father. But you could see just the outline of Jesus's body. You couldn't see like the details of his body. But the one thing that really stood out about Jesus was his crown. He had a crown, no, I apologize. No, it was God. God had a crown on his head. I can't put it in good enough words to explain what it was really like, because it was like God had a crown, but there was not a body. It was just it was like the light of the sun. It was like the light of the sun, but it did not hurt to look at. It was the most beautiful light you would ever see anywhere. Like, you can't, words aren't even good enough to explain this story, honestly. But while we're there, what's happening is, it was like God was calling people up to the stage one by one, letting them know what their assignment was here on this earth. And it was kind of like we all were connected, if that makes sense, because I could speak with people that were there, like the people that were beside me, the people that were behind me, in front of me. We could all speak to each other, but it wasn't with our mouths. It was like with our mind, or with our, we were able to communicate. I was able to talk to the person beside me. I was able to talk to the other person beside me. And it was like we had a knowing. It was like I knew the person. I knew their name. I knew what they did on earth, what God was calling them to do. I knew this. I knew. It was like I had it was a heightened sense of knowing. I knew how things came about. It was like I had a knowledge that there's no way on earth, literally here on earth, that I would be able to have that type of knowledge. But I had like a supernatural knowledge, and it was like everybody did. We all knew each other. We all understood each other. We were all connected, and that I understand how the Bible talks about, us being one body, fitly joined together. And it made complete sense when I was up there, like, because it felt like we were one body. We were one mind. We all were connected. We all understood each other. And I had that experience, and God called me up to the stage. It was my time. And that was another thing. It was like God was calling everybody up to the stage one by one, but it seemed like it was, I don't even know how to explain this part, but it seemed like it was like moving so fast to where it was all happening at once. I guess that's what it's like to live in eternity, because it's like I saw myself waiting, like waiting with the other people that were there, but I also at the same time God was already giving, telling me what He wanted me to do. So I guess that's like how it is for God. He's able to, He lives in eternity, so He's able to be everywhere at once. So I had that experience, and that was amazing. That was amazing. I didn't want to leave. Literally, I felt no pain, no hurt. I felt like nothing could harm me. Nothing could ever. There was no bad intentions. There was no sadness. There was no crying. There was no pain. There was no that lack of love. That love I was still trying to find. The Lord had been with me, showing me that love. But that love, it was completely, I felt complete. I felt like everything that I could ever want, everything that I desired, everything that I needed, it was just already there, and it was overwhelming. Like the joy was overwhelming. The love, oh gosh, the love was overwhelming. It was like I was consumed with love. I was consumed with peace. It was like completeness, right? And that feeling, I didn't want it to go away. But it was at that moment where I was like, okay, something. At this point, I watch a lot of movies. And I see all these movies where supernatural things are happening to people, and they have some kind of powers, right? And I'm like, okay, maybe I'm one of those people, because I'm still not fully understanding Christianity and being with the Lord and all these different things. So I'm thinking I'm some kind of superhero now. I'm like, okay, all right, the Lord has chosen me to become some kind of superhero, some kind of person that's gonna set people free, which is in some kind of way that's true, but He didn't call me to be a superhero. So fast forward, I end up moving back to Florida. But man, the sleep paralysis did not stop. It did not stop. It was every night, every night, every night, every night. It was like every time I closed my eyes, the sleep paralysis would happen. And I'm just like, God, how do I get this to stop? So what happened is I end up, because my mom was still in nursing school, my siblings, they were still living with my grandmother. So, I just went back, stayed at my grandmother's house. But it was like, my mother, my siblings, we all slept in the living room of my grandmother's house, because every other room was occupied. And there were some nights where I would lay down and on the ground, and I would just look up, and I'm just seeing a demon walk across the floor, and I'm just like, what in the world? Like, I'm tired of seeing this. I don't want to see this anymore. And I was deathly afraid at the time. I was. And things was just kept happening. Even the last straw for me, though. Oh my gosh, the last straw for me. Well, let me tell this part first. So I end up, keep listening to my sermons. I kept playing my video games, and I just felt an urge. I didn't know that, about the Lord talking back to me. I knew I could talk to the Lord, but I didn't realize that the Lord could talk back to me, you know. But I felt this urge, like, man, I need to go to, it's this Christian university here in town. I need to go to this school. I need to go to this school. I need to go to this school. Whoa, hold on, let me back up. Let me back up before all of that happens. When I came home from Nebraska, you know, after having like an experience like that of going to a heavenly place, you would think, man, I'm on track. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I felt an urge to go to this Christian university. And I'm gonna go to this Christian university. But I went up to Nebraska with a couple of friends, you know, and we all came back home because we were like, all right, we Florida boys. We're not we're not Nebraska guys. So we came back down to Florida. And you know, being that we're Florida guys, I was still hanging out with them. We were going to a hookah club every night. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We're at the hookah club. Hookah lounge. Smoking, still, you know, smoking weed and smoking Black and Mild, you know, all that kind of stuff. Drinking. And, you know, they tell me one day, they're like, hey, man, we're actually going to go to Florida. We're going to enroll into, we got accepted to Florida State. We're going to enroll to Florida State. And I'm like, man, I was going to talk to y'all about coming to this Christian university with me where I felt like I should be at. So I ended up going up to this, up to Florida State with them instead of going to the Christian university like I should have. And we had an apartment together. And, you know, everybody's financial aid was working out. They were able to get enrolled into school, take classes and everything, except me. I don't know what was going on. You know, my financial aid just was not working out. It was just not and nothing was working up there for me. I couldn't find a job. I couldn't, you know, get the financial aid. And the way these apartments worked is basically if you know, get financial aid, you get a refund check, you let, you know, the apartment complex know. And so you don't really have to pay anything until, you know, you get your refund check, and then you pay, you know, off the rent for the semester. So I thought, okay, cool, I'll do that. So I'm staying there for about a month or two. I'm like, hey, you know, it's just taking a little minute, you know, just taking a little bit of time. And then I had to end up telling them, like, hey, I apologize. I'm actually not going to be able to go to school, and I'm not going to be able to pay you. So I'm trying to hustle and find a job. I applying at every single place, every place I could find, and nothing was happening. And nothing was happening for me. It just wasn't happening. It wasn't working. So I ended up calling my parents, and I was like, listen, I haven't been in school. They thought I was in school. I haven't been in school for these past few months. It just didn't work out at the school. I don't know what happened. I got accepted and everything, but the financial aid just wasn't going through. And they were like, okay. So I ended up having to come home. I ended up getting a job. I ended up working with my mom at the job she was working at. I still had to end up paying all that rent back, so that way, and getting that off my credit and everything. So I did that. I saved up my money, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to try at that Christian university. So that next semester, and that was the summertime, I was working, at the job with my mom. I'm going to try that Christian university. And in the meantime, y'all, ever since, I left that, me and that ex broke up, and, the Holy Spirit, I had that encounter with the Holy Spirit in the shower. I had a vision of myself, and it was kind of like, it was a vision of my heart. And I saw, like, my heart was, like, behind and this is in a good context. It's not in a bad context. My heart was behind a jail cell, right? But Jesus was like the guard at the jail cell. And I saw that vision, but I instantly knew that, okay, I'm supposed to be single until God tells me to open my heart again. So, meanwhile, it's been like a year and a half, almost 2 years, and I felt like when I saw that vision, I felt like it was going to be 2 years. 2 years, I need to be single, need to not try to talk to any women, try to do anything to any women. That's also what the reason why I didn't, sleep with that girl in Nebraska. I actually had a couple opportunities up there to sleep with somebody, but it was that thought. I was like, all right, Jesus is supposed to be at my heart, guarding my heart, and I don't feel like he's opening my heart to. Yeah, I don't feel like he's opening my heart to these young ladies, so I'm just gonna leave it alone. And then I end up thinking about that, right? So what I do at this moment, I'm by myself. My best friends are in Tallahassee. I'm at Florida State, and I'm not. It's at this point I went through a season of like just being by myself. It was just me and God, me and God. And mind you, at this time, I'm by myself. The sleep paralysis is happening every night, and I'm confused about Christianity. I'm confused about these different things, not understanding what's going on with my life. I didn't understand. Like I said, I thought I was a superhero. At some points in my life, but I didn't want to be. I didn't want to be. So, moving on from there, I'm a little sad because, at this point, my dad is still homeless. I'm barely seeing my mom because she's going to work and school. I don't know where my life is going at this point. It's not turning out how I thought it was going to turn out. So then I go and I apply to this Christian university. I get accepted into the Christian university. And mind you, this Christian university was like triple the price of Florida State. But the financial aid worked just fine, which I did not understand. But I understand now it was a part of God's plan for me to be at this Christian university because there was things there that I needed. There were some connections there that I needed, right? So I get to this Christian university. And I'm like, okay, I don't know a single person here. I take that back. Because I went to the Christian school in my city, of course, there were a lot of people from the Christian high school that I went to the Christian college in my city as well. So I knew a few people, but we weren't really that close. But for the most part, I didn't know a lot of people there, which was fine. I said, it's easy for me to make friends. And I prayed to God and I said, God, let me please get a really good roommate. Man, I got the best roommate you could ask for. And his name was amazing. I was like, they told me who my roommate was going to be. They were like, his name is Knowledge. And I was like, I've never heard of anybody with the name Knowledge. So that was pretty fantastic, man. And he was further along in his faith than I was. And that really helped me. He was able to teach me some things, show me some things, help me to understand. I was like, okay, this is really working out. But this is what I felt. It is important for us to be in the perfect will of God. God wants us to follow his will. He wants us to be where he wants us to be because he has things already set up along the pathway if we just get on his path. Sometimes we try to create our own path and we got to try to make this up and do this and do that and do it. But if we follow the path that God has for us, we don't have to do that. God already has it set up for us. It's already set up. So when I say this was such an ease, it was such an ease. I mean, when I say it was such an ease, it was such an ease. And we went on. Me and him developed a great friendship. But there was that longing still in me. It wasn't so much of a longing, like, man, I just need love. Because I really felt like God had really dealt with me in that area. He really helped me in that area. But I was really desiring a wife. And my dad told me, my dad was still homeless at this time, and but he was helping me do a lot of stuff. He helped me move to Florida State. He helped me move back from Florida State. He helped me move into my new dorm room at the Christian University I went to, Southeastern University, in Lakeland, Florida. He helped me move in there, and he told me, he said, and this was prophetic. He didn't know it. I didn't know it. But he said, your wife is going to be here. And I was like, and for me at that time, that's what I wanted to hear. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm going to find her. So me and my friend Knowledge, sometimes we used to go out at midnight, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, because people were still hanging out on campus. You know, it's college campus. We're hanging out. And we used to go scouting for girls. We used to call it scouting. We're going scouting. We're going to put together a scout report. And we used to try to talk to girls, but we never did. We never did. We used to try to. And then, you know, we started classes and everything, and I meet this young lady. She was awesome, you know, cool. You know, we used to help each other with our work. We were doing like a group project or something like that. And me and her got a little bit close. We used to go to lunch and everything together. But it wasn't like any romantic type thing like that. You know, it really felt like a sister-brother relationship. So that was cool. But she had a best friend. I don't know what it is, y'all, with these best friends. I could not stand her. I could not stand her. Now, you know how the first two best friends, you know, I developed a friendship with one young lady, and then the best friend comes along, and I can't stand the best friend. This is the same thing, right? And I'm like, you know what? I don't learn my lesson from these best friends. No, I'm not gonna deal with her. So anytime the best friend came around, I just be quiet and I just don't talk. I don't do nothing. And if I could, I'll leave. So it's just one instant, y'all. I have style. I have style. Trust me, I do. Which y'all will be seeing more of that on this channel. But I'm sitting in class, and then her best friend comes in, and I had on a cardigan. I had on like this. It was a woven sweater that like zipped, and I had on a tie. I had on a button-up shirt. I had on some slacks. I had on some loafers, and then I also had on a fedora. And I had on glasses. I don't wear glasses, y'all. I don't need glasses, but I like to wear glasses for fashion. You know, just clear glasses, clear lens glasses. So she comes in. The professor is teaching at this moment. She's in front of the class. She's teaching. It's probably only like 30 students in this class. So it was a pretty intimate class. And the professor is teaching at this time. But the best friend opens the door to the classroom. And it's extremely loud. Interrupts the whole class. Comes up to, you know, the young lady that I made good friends with. Comes up to that table. This is our first meeting ever. First time I ever met her. Comes up to the table that we're at, and she's talking loud. I mean, she's the only one standing in the class. The professor is like looking like, what in the world? And she is extremely loud. And I'm looking like, oh, that's the person I'm running from. That's the person I'm supposed to run from. But she looks over, because I'm sitting with, you know, the young lady, and she looks over at me. And then looks back at her best friend, and she says, this is the exact word she says, sis, whose daddy are you sitting with? She thought I had children. She thought I had at least 3 children. She thought I was much older. Because, yeah, in some classes, there were, like, people there that, you know, were, you know, much older than majority of the group there, which is perfectly fine. But that's who she thought I was. And, you know, the young lady was like, hey, he's not anybody's father. He's our age. She thought I was so much older, so much this, so much that. She didn't like me. I didn't like her. And it was just like that. Time goes on. Because I was hanging out with the young lady I made friends with, going to lunch, dinner, breakfast, all that kind of stuff. Of course, her best friend was there. So she would be there, and, we really didn't talk or nothing like that. And then, time goes on. Me and my friend Knowledge, my roommate Knowledge, we were still going out scouting, trying to find out who's going to be our wife. We found a few people, a few candidates. I was like, all right, cool. We're going to make it work. But ended up not working. And then there was one night, my friend, the girl that I made friends with, she asked me, she was like, hey, you want to come to chapel with me? And I said, okay, yeah, cool. Because we had to go to chapel to get like chapel credits because it was a Christian university. We had to go there. And I was like, okay, cool, let's go. We go to chapel. Of course, her best friend is there. And we go down the row, and it was packed. We go down this row to get some seats. And the girl that I made friends with, she sits down, but I was going to leave a seat in between because it was only 2 seats left. And but her best friend comes down the row, and there's only 1 seat next to me. She halfway sits down, sees that I'm next to her. She hops up and goes sits at somewhere else. And in my head, I'm like, if that is not the most disrespectful stuff ever, like, y'all should have saw it. I mean, this girl, she was very abrupt when she did things, right? And I'm like, what in the world? I'm like, I can't stand her. Like, she's just annoying, like ridiculous. So, okay, that we move on from that. And that night, I was like, okay, we're listening to the message in chapel and everything. And they decide they want to do baptisms. Like, hey, let's do baptisms. And there's probably a couple hundred students in here at this time. And it's packed, probably more than a couple hundred, honestly. Probably like 3, 4, 5, maybe 100 people. And I was feeling a tugging, like, okay, you should get baptized. I wasn't hearing that, but I was feeling like I should go get baptized. Tell me why this young lady, the one that's calling me somebody's father, right? She's calling me somebody's daddy. She reaches down the entire row. All I see, we're all sitting back, but all I see is a head stick out. And she looks down the row like this. And she's waving her hand at me, trying to get my attention. She said, hey, you getting baptized? I'm like, why is she trying to talk to me? Just you stay down there on your side. I'm going to stay down here on my side. Just do what you got to do. I do what I got to do. And, it was kind of like that confirmation, though, when she said that. So I got up and I went. I got baptized in the clothes that I was in. I didn't have any extra clothes, no nothing, no towel, nothing. I said, you know what? I'm just going to get baptized. I went and got baptized. And this was the second time I got baptized, because the first time I got baptized, I didn't really understand the purpose of getting baptized. I was just kind of doing it because I was told to do it. But the second time, this time when I got baptized, I literally felt like as I went under the water, something shedded, like something came off of me. And when I came back up, my eye was flooded with tears. I felt the presence of God so heavily. And actually, there was a photo taken of me because when I came out, my arms were up like this, and I had tears, and I was actually on the school website on the front page for a very long time, and that photo had actually went viral. And I actually took a video too, and I actually they put the mic up to my mouth. Like, that's what got me. I went down, I came back up. They didn't do this for really anybody else, but they put a mic to my mouth and they told me to speak, and I said, speak. Oh, it just started flowing out of me. I started preaching. It just started flowing. I was like, okay, cool. So I get out of the baptism. I'm still crying, 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 crying. Because I feel God, and I know God's doing something in my life. I just don't know what yet. But I understood that I was where He wanted me to be. I was in His perfect will, and it was going fantastic. And I was like, okay, God, I'm willing to do whatever you tell me to do, whatever you tell me to do. So that same night, um, it was also my birthday. I got baptized on my birthday, so it was a special. It was a very special day, and that was a pivotal moment for me that day because it was my birthday. I got baptized. I was feeling God, and all these different things. And then I went to, was walking from my room, walking from chapel to go to my room, and of course the two young ladies. The ones the one young lady I made friends with, and then the her friend, the annoying one, and they wanted to walk back with me to my room because I wanted to go change because we were still gonna hang out. It was like 9 o'clock at night. We were still gonna hang out, talk, whatever. I wanted to go back to my room and change. My mom, she cooked my favorite cake. It's a lemon glazed pound cake. So I walked back to my room and I told them, I was like, hey, y'all want some of this cake? And they're like, yeah, you. And they were like, you just got cake in your room? I was like, yeah, it's actually my birthday today. My mom brought me this cake today. And they were like, oh, we didn't know it was your birthday. I was like, yeah, it was my birthday. Gave them some cake and everything. And we ended up not really going anywhere. We kind of stood outside of my dorm room because, it's a Christian university. Not really allowed to go inside of, the other sex dorm room after a certain hour. So we were outside just talking, hanging, and then, the annoying one, right? I start talking to her a little bit, and getting a little. In back of my head, I'm still like, she can go ahead and go. Ain't no problem. You can go ahead and go about your business. But I'm talking to the one I made friends with, and we're just talking about anything. Really just getting to know each other. So I ended up talking to the annoying one, right? I ended up finding out a lot about her, that she was from here. She lived in the same part of town that I used to live in. And then I found out she went to my school. She went to the rival school, our rival school in football, all these different things. I ended up finding out a lot about her. I even found out that we were in the same kindergarten class. I didn't remember her or anything like that, but we had the same teacher, same class. We went to kindergarten together. I was like, we went to kindergarten together. I'm like, what? We had the same friends, the same friend group from high school, the same guys I used to hang out with, the football, football guys and stuff. She knew them. She knew every person I was calling up. I was like, what? So at this point, I'm talking to her a little bit more than like the young lady I made friends with, just because I'm like, whoa, me and this young lady have a whole lot in common. A whole lot in common as far as in the people we know, as far as in the places we've been, all these different things. And as me and the young lady are talking, the one that I made friends with, she starts to walk like slowly back up. I kind of notice it, but I don't because we're in a good conversation. Slowly walk away, and because I lived on the second story, and she walked down the stairs, and we noticed she wasn't there anymore. And it was just me and I'm gonna call her the annoying one now, and we're talking for 3 hours. I'm like, whoa, look at the time. Like, it's like almost 1 o'clock. And she was like, oh yeah, I should be getting back. And I said, okay, I learned a lot about her. I know she's the annoying one, but I was like, in just these 3 hours, I learned so much about her that it's kind of like, okay, opens me up a little bit. And then I said, okay, this is what we'll do. I'm gonna ask her on a date. I'm gonna find out more about her, and I'll find out the truth there. So I asked her on a date. We had a coffee shop on campus. I said, hey, listen. I said, can I take you, take you to get some coffee? Maybe we can talk a little bit more, and I can hear more in depth of, your story, hear some of your dreams, goals for your life, things like that. She said no, and here come the rudeness again. Just when I thought we made some kind of progress, she got back rude, and I was like, what in the world? I was like, And then as I'm like, all right, forget it, just go. We just had this long 3-hour conversation and you want to get crazy. Nah. So I'm going to walk back in my room. And she said, but I do like smoothies. I don't know why she had to act like that. But we never did go get smoothies or coffee or anything like that. We didn't go on a date until like 2 months later. She used to run. But this was also, remember I told you that I used to put, no, I didn't used to, but God gave me that vision that my heart was behind like a jail cell, and Jesus was standing guard at the gate. I needed to guard my heart, right? That's what I was doing. I was in a season of guarding my heart from all these different young ladies, because Jesus was giving me the love that I needed. I was finally feeling that love that I had been seeking, looking for all those years. And he told me not to open my heart until he opened it for me, until he opened the cell gate. So it's probably a few days later, and she lived across. So the way our dorm rooms were, they were kind of like motels almost, but they were like nice motels, And I could look across the courtyard, and there was a volleyball court down there. There was a lot of grass, palm trees, all this kind of stuff. And I could see across the courtyard her room. She could see my room, I could see her room. And what I ended up doing is I just going outside, I was bored. I go outside and I see her come outside, and it's at nighttime. I see her come outside, and she has this big old huge bonnet on her head, but she has trash in her hand. And I said, you know what? I'll go take her trash out. I'll go do something nice for her. I'll take her trash out. I was bored anyways. So I go and I'm running down there so that way I can get the trash before she throws in the trash. And it looked crazy. If somebody was watching us, they're probably like, what in the world are y'all doing? But it looked so crazy. And I ended up going, and I said, hey, I'll throw your trash out for you. And she's like, no, I got it. I was like, no, I can take your trash out for you. No, I got it. I said, no, I can take your trash out for you. Let me take your trash out. And she's like, no, I'm going to throw my trash in my trash can. And I was like, it's not your trash can. It's everybody's trash can. And we just started going back and forth like that. And I was just like, give me the trash. And she was like, no, I'm not giving you my trash. This is my trash. I said, give me the trash. Like, I was for real. Like, give me the trash. What you doing? Stop playing. Let me do something nice. And she's like, no, I got my own trash. You can go ahead and do whatever you want to do. I got my own trash. I was like, why you won't let me take out your trash? She's like, because I can take out my own trash. And I was like, no, this is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do. I'm going to take out your trash, and you're going to like it. So I snatched the trash out of her hand. Y'all, this is crazy. People are out. I take off running with the trash in my hand. I'm running with the trash in my hand. She's running after me with the trying to snatch the trash out of my hand so she can throw it in the trash. She ends up running up there, grabbing the trash. I had to snatch the trash back, and I'm running the rest of the way with trash in my hands like this. Running to the trash can, I slam it in the trash. I said, let me take out your trash. She goes in the trash can, pulls it out the trash can. She slams it back in the trash. And she said, I can take out my own trash. I go and I pick up the trash and I put the trash back here. I said, I'm taking out your trash. But in that moment when I'm doing that, I see a vision. And I saw Jesus open the gate. He opened it. And I knew that's my wife. And I said, no. I was like, no. I was like, out of all the females on this campus, out of all the females in this world, why am I seeing you open the gate to my heart to this female that is crazy? Crazy. I said, this don't make any sense. This don't make any sense here. So I was like, I went back to my room and I thought about it, and I'm like, okay. I said I'll give it a try, but I really didn't want to give it a try because I already had my opinions about it. So then we get invited to, well, not we, but they invite me, the young lady I made friends with and her crazy friend. They invite me to a church. Because at the time I was going to a church, but you know how we have some, and I don't know how the church is today. I don't know. So I'm not speaking on how they are today. I'm just speaking on my experience when I was there. But I felt there was something deeper. I felt there was something that was missing, something that I needed that I wasn't getting. Like it was something, those experiences that I had by myself, with the Holy Spirit. I wasn't getting those experiences at this church. Like I was like, man, I'm like, if I'm having this by myself, like, and I had started reading about in Matthew about, how the Holy Spirit met them in the upper room and when they were all together and all these different things. I'm reading about all the miracle signs and wonders. I'm like, how come I'm not seeing that at this church? How come I'm not getting that? How come I don't have that feeling? And I'm not saying that the church was bad. I don't know. Maybe it's just not where God wanted me to be at the time. So I wasn't being fed what I needed to be fed. But they invited me to this church and it was a conference. And I was like, okay, I'll go. So of course they picked me up, and the young lady, she had a what are those things called? A Volkswagen little Beetle thing, the punch buggies. Yeah, she had one of those. So of course I had to sit in the back. I'm sitting in the back, and like because it curves like that, I'm just banging my head on the thing. Because the young lady, she was driving a little wild. I ain't gonna hold you. I'm banging my head on the back of the thing. And I started feeling so irritable. So all right, y'all, just leave me alone. Like, of course, I'm not a person that's just going to come out and just say it like that. But that's how I was feeling. I was like, man, all right, just leave me alone. I'm over this. I'm tired of this, whatever. But I end up still going. And the conference, it was a prophetic conference. Prophetic and apostolic conference. So I go there and we're worshiping, and it's worship like I've never seen before. And I was like, whoa, that presence that I was feeling by myself, I felt it there. And I was like, man, this is amazing. Like, every time I come here, I feel this presence. I feel this power. I feel the glory of God. This is where I'm going to switch my church to be. I'm going to be here. So I go there, and on my first meeting there, first night, I start, we're worshiping, and in the middle of worship, right, I feel something like a fist in my stomach, and I feel it like it's like ripping my insides, and it's coming out, and all I know is I start growling and growling in my head. I'm like, what in the world is going on? But my physical body I was growling, I was crying, I was screaming, I was wailing, and it was because there was, spirits that were attached to me, that were leaving, that were coming out. They were coming out. They were coming out. And then they were like, you need to go to the front. So they started like I'm not gonna say dragging me, but they started like pulling me to the front so I could get prayed for. And there was this one prophet there. Oh man, she works heavily in like the ministry of deliverance, and she laid hands on me. Oh man, it was like a screech that came out that I've like never heard in my life, and I'm like, whoa, what? And after that, I was like, I had to start asking questions like, man, was I possessed? Was I possessed? Was I possessed? Because I was still a baby Christian at this time. I didn't have any understanding, and they had to break it down to me afterwards, like, because it was like I was there, but I was watching myself get delivered, So I could see myself just on the ground, just screaming and wiggling and moving and all these different types of things. I was like, man, was I possessed? And they had to break it down. They was like, no, you weren't possessed, but there was spirits that were attached to you. Because when you're a Christian and the Holy Spirit lives on the inside of you, nothing can possess you. They can only oppress you. So there were some oppressing spirits that were trying to oppress my life. So those were the things that were coming out. I was like, okay, I understand that. Broke it down. Every time after that, I was there every time the doors were open. Not because someone was telling me to be there, but because the glory of God was there, and I knew that God wanted me to be there in that moment. So I started attending that church. And by the way, that church is named Faith Celebration Church. And you can find them on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, any social media you could think of. But Faith Celebration Church is my home church, pastored by Bishop Joel Brown and Pastor Tiffany Brown. Absolutely phenomenal church. Absolutely phenomenal church. Absolutely phenomenal church. Changed my life in so many ways. So fast forwarding, it's like December of that semester. And finally, right? Me and the annoying girl, we were talking, and I'm not saying like talking like getting in a relationship, but we were talking, and texting back and forth. We would meet each other every now and again, and this is what was crazy. After that day when I had got delivered, I felt God was talking to me more than I ever noticed in my life, and I felt like I was supposed to be getting up at 6 a.m. for prayer. Well, by the school, there was this lake, and there was like this little ledge that you could sit on. So I used to go sit on that ledge at the lake at 6 a.m. in the morning and pray, right? So I got there. I was there. I met him there every time. And then at the other end of the lake, because it's like it was like the ledge. It kind of was like, went like a horseshoe kind of like this. I would sit way down here, and I saw somebody else sitting way down on the other side. And me, I was just like, all right, I'm gonna walk down there. One, because I was gonna go get breakfast. Two, at school, after my prayer, and then two, I was just seeing like, man, what's this other person doing out here? And guess who's sitting out there? The annoying one is sitting out there praying. God told her to be there 6 o'clock every morning. And I was like, hold on, God. I was like, okay. We were talking, but we weren't really talking like to be in a relationship or anything. But I was like, you told me to be here at 6 a.m., Lord. Why would you tell her to be here at 6 a.m. too? And you know what I saw? I saw my heart, and I saw the gate again being opened. So, every morning I go out there, I see her coming too. We're both there at 6 o'clock. I'm on one end, she's on one end. We're praying. And that happened. It kept happening. We kept doing that. And then all of a sudden I was like, we pray by ourselves. And then One morning I go over there and I was like, hey, we're both out here praying. It's just me and her out of this whole school that's there. Just me and her out there. I go up to her and I was like, hey, you want to pray together? And she was like, we can. So we ended up praying together. So then that started being our routine. We would meet out there at 6 o'clock. We'd pray by ourselves. And then somewhere between 6:30 and 6:45, we meet together in the middle and we prayed together. And then we go eat breakfast. And we did that every day. I did that every day. Until eventually, I was like, hey, listen, we never did go on a date. I was like, listen, there's this Christmas, because at this time it's Christmas time. I said, there's this Christmas event here in town. I would really like to take you there. And she's like, oh, no. She thought I was going to abduct her. She thought I was going to put her in sex trafficking. She thought all this different kind of stuff. And I was like, listen, I just want to take you there. We can see what happens. So her best friend finally was like, excuse me. Her best friend was finally like, hey, just go with them. Just go. She was like, if anything happened, they had put some whole tracker on her phone and everything like that, just to give her, clarity of mind, I guess. Made her feel safe. Took her there, right? And mind you, she's the hardest chick out there, boy. She tough. She was tough, rough. I mean, she'll cut you, boy, with the words. Yes, she was showing up the prayer. She was showing up the prayer. She was showing up the church. Boy, she was tough. We go to this Christmas event. It was like a light show that you can walk through. And then at the end of the light show, it had like the story of Jesus. They had real goats, real like camel, all that kind of stuff out there. It was amazing. And we went out there and we're just walking, Me in my head, I'm not necessarily considering it a date yet. I'm just trying to like soften her up so I can really see if she's someone I really want to go after or not. So we go out there and we're walking, and at the time she didn't like to be touched. Like, don't touch her. Like, she don't touch her. How come when we're walking, she tries to hold my hand? And now at this time, I'm confused. I'm like, hold on a second. I'm like, why is she so tough in one moment and then tries to be so soft in another moment? I'm just like, what in the world? And I'm looking like, okay, she is holding my hand. I didn't know what to think. And then also when she started holding my hand, you know how like I told you all about when I was in high school and these girls, wouldn't hold my hand, and I was like, I'm not a physical touch person, but holding the hand shows ownership, right? In public, not afraid to say like, hey, this is mine. So when she held my hand, something happened for me. It was kind of like, whoa, like, even though she was rough and tough, when she started holding my hand, it was kind of like for all those years back in high school where that happened to me, it was kind of like I'm gonna say this for lack of better terms, but it was like it was repaid to me. It was kind of like, all right, this makes up for all of that. Like, it was just like, because this was something pure. This was something, even though I couldn't see it at this moment, even though I don't understand why it's this girl, even though why I don't understand, it just felt so pure. And from that day on, I was like, okay, listen, I'm gonna marry her. I really felt like the Lord said, this is your wife. Because I had a dream. Oh man, I had a dream. She was in the dream, and I saw two children, and I was like, that's my wife. That's my wife. And I made a huge mistake, y'all. I did something you should never, ever, ever do. I went to her the next day and I said, listen, you're my wife. I'm gonna marry you. And I love you. She went ghost, disappeared. No text, no text, no calls. Anytime I saw her out in public, she was darting the other way. She She thought I was crazy. But you know what? God gave me a reassurance. He was just like, doesn't matter. It's the plan. Doesn't matter. And I told her the same thing. I was like, you may run now, but we're going to get married. She thought I was crazy. Thought I was crazy. Thought I was crazy. And I have more other stories I want to let you all know. But I'm gonna let you all know this. Me and the crazy friend, we're now married. We have 2 children. We're ministers of the gospel of Jesus Christ at Faith Celebration Church. And I'm happier than I could ever be. I have more joy than I could ever have. I have more love, more peace than I could ever have. And God has really filled me. Even the dreams that I had when I was younger about how my life would go, there's now coming to fruition. And I knew I was going to get married young. We ended up getting married when we were about 20 years old. I'm now 28. We're going on 8 years of marriage now, and I'm only 28 years old. I got 2 beautiful daughters with this young lady. And when I say she used to be so hard, so rough, so tough, which I'm gonna come out with another video telling y'all a testimony of how we got married. Man, that's a story. That's a story there. But we're now married, have our 2 beautiful girls, and she used to be so rough, so tough, so hardcore. Now she's the softest thing ever. She's the softest thing ever. There's not a rough, tough bone in her body. But the Lord healed us through our relationship. He allowed, through our relationship, there were parts of me that were healed from the rejection and the neglect and all that, those different things, and the love that I was missing. She was able to bring that into the picture. And for me, I was able to bring the right image of a man to her, and she became softer and softer and softer. You know, she's not weak now. She's not weak, trust me. She's not weak, but she's a lot softer and a lot more how can I say it? A lot more malleable, you know. She's everything I dreamed of. Everything I dreamed of, everything that I wanted in a wife, she's that. Simple as that. The things that I was trying to seek from these young ladies in high school and after high school and stuff, there's no way in the world they could have compared to what I have now. There's no way they could have became what I have now. Like I thank God every day. And I love my wife so very much, you know, and, you know, it's just been a fantastic journey. I got a lot more stories about the supernatural. I have a lot more stories about being homeless when we were married, which I'm going to come out with all those different stories so you all can hear this, because the Bible says that we overcome by the word of our testimony. We overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. I had just forgot it for a second, but it came back to me. We overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. So people need to hear this testimony, because there's some people out there going through some things right now. But I want this to encourage you, to let you know, like, you can make it. You will make it. You know, you have to follow God. Even if you don't even understand that it's God. You have to get around people that do understand God. You got to get around people that are more mature in their faith, so that way they can help you get mature in your faith. You have to get to a church home. You know, your pastor's really going to help you be able to get to that next level in your faith. He's going to be able to get you to that next place in God, where God will have you to be, give you that guidance that you need. So it's very important. There's some things that happened in my family generational line that could have happened to me, but because God was there and I was able to follow God's plan, those generational curses were able to be broken. And the same thing for you. You don't have to go the same way your father did. You don't have to go the same way your mother did. You don't have to go those same ways if they were bad ways. You don't have to be sick like they say the rest of your family is. You don't have to be those things. You don't have to deal with all these different things, but God wants you to be who He wants you to be. And I even have more stories about the the sleep paralysis. At this time, the sleep paralysis is still going. Y'all, it's about 3-4 years in. It's still going, even into the first year of our marriage. But I'm gonna come out with a story on that, letting you know how I was able to stop the sleep paralysis, and I was able to become stronger in my faith. You know, because once, and I'm gonna give you some strategies too. If it's happening to you, I'm gonna give you some strategies and help you to stop the sleep paralysis and stop these spiritual things that are happening to you. But ultimately, the sleep paralysis, the Bible says that all things work together for the good of those who love the Lord and are called according to His purposes. I was called according to His purposes. I am called according to His purposes, right? So even though the sleep paralysis happened for so many years, and I had those night terrors and everything, and feeling like my limbs and everything were being torn apart, right? All things work together for the good of those who love the Lord and are called according to His purpose. So I had to believe that those things work together for my good. Now that built strength in me. Now the devil better not play. He better not play. He better not play, because I'm gonna wreak havoc on this kingdom. And don't you think about messing with me at night. Don't you think about messing with me at night, because I'm not going to play with you. And they understand that, because we have authority. We have authority, right? We have authority. If you're a Christian, you're a believer, you have the Holy Spirit, you have authority over the enemy, right? He can't do that. You have to take away his permission. You have to take away his permission. But all right, y'all, this is going to be all for this video. I'm going to share some more things that I have gone through, some more things that I've done. And yeah, we'll go from there. I'll see y'all on the next video.